Well, I enjoyed doing that last London scene, looking over the Thames at night, and I'm going to do a couple more now. In fact, one very similar one to make a pair, and a darker one to go in the middle to make a triptych. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go with these. This one, the first one on this canvas, I want to do building it up. Make a low relief with the filler. This one I'm not sure, because really I should try and keep the surfaces the same, so I may use some texture, I may not, we'll see. I've prepared the drawing for this one now, and it's a matter of just building up the textures in low relief. And I'm going to make some ordinary interior polyfiller and a bit of PVA glue, and just work up these with a painting knife and fork and so on. Same with the clouds, just to give some sort of texture underneath, which will save a lot of paint. Also give me a much nicer feeling of three-dimension. Well, this morning we're going to work on this London scene, middle of the triptych. The outside two are just going to be painted, but this one I want to be textured as well to give a three-dimensional feel. So we've got the two blues on the outside and this deep, rich tonal one in the centre. I think it could work. Well, of course they'll be sold separately, but it'd be nice to offer them as three. So we're going to start off to do the texturing. We're doing it this time on canvas. We don't have to do it on board, but we do it in this particular way. If we add the PVA glue to the filler, it makes it plastic enough that it will adhere well enough to the canvas and won't crack off, because the canvas will of course move. So I want a fair amount of filler for this body. If I'm going to build these up quite well with a knife and with my fingers. Now into that, some ordinary white PVA glue. Get some out, just a nice dollop or two. And it fairly plastic. I don't want it too fluid, but enough to make it plastic. That's the point. Enough to give it that little bit more adhesion and plasticity, so it doesn't crack and split. A wee bit more. We don't need, because of this amount of glue I'm putting in, we don't need a lot of water. So we've got a nice gungy mixture here, and the more glue you add, the gungier it is, so don't make it too slimy, just enough to stick really well and still be malleable. And this will last for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to want a couple of tools to work with it as well. A painting knife and a fork, useful. I'm going to start off with the sky. And I'll use my hand for most of this work, and we'll just make nice big fluffy cloud effects there. Make sure you clean the edges, because we're going to do framing later. Have to have the edges clear of foam. So Monet, remember, used a way very similar to this. He actually built his pictures up using a filler of some sort. Although he did paint very heavily with oils, he did also use fillers and painted the texturing over the surfaces. See how quickly we can build up a sky this way. Again, I want it pretty smooth across here, so I'll scrape the stuff across with my hand. Just down to these buildings, I'll leave the drawing behind. So I know where I am to build these buildings up shortly. Now I'm going to come down to the buildings themselves. I'll just show you how they're made. And then put this one to high speed, because there's no point in you watching too much of this. And the buildings themselves, then we can actually we'll do the background first. We'll get the background smooth bits just worked up. So we'll do the lower buildings first and just indicate. So I've got about half an hour to work in. Should be enough time to do this before it gets too dry. So we could try and build this up with heavy body paint straight into itself. That'd be quite expensive, and it would be time consuming as well. And where I said I was going to use that fork, got these bits of perspective just coming through here. I want to just try and get those lines that are happening in the building just there. Plenty on there. Make it stick. We do not want it dropping off later. I haven't had that happen yet because this mixture has been so good that I've never had it drop off on me or crack. I've had the mice eating the seeds and things I put on before now, but I've never lost a piece by having it crack away. Right, you can see how it's done now, so I'm going to put it on to fast speed now. Well, this texturing is now dry, and I want to give it a base coat, so rather than use lots of expensive acrylic paint, I will use a black emulsion which has got acrylic in it anyway. I'll give this a total coating of black emulsion to give it a base coat before I work stronger colours over the top. I want a dark background anyway for this. Now make sure when you're doing this that you completely get rid of all of the white textures. There's nothing showing at all, no blisters. Right, there we are, a nice base coat of black. take now washes of other rich colours such as purples and blues to build up the base before I actually start putting mid-tones and highlights on, and using the textures to do that, which is money. Well, this coat of black emulsion has gone very light and almost slightly mouldy, but it's gone matte here on the heavier bits of plaster. So I've also noticed that when I come to varnish it, of course these are very absorbent, these areas. What I'm going to do is experiment this morning. I don't have any acrylic medium with me, but I do have some PVA, so I want to put a wash of PVA over this to seal it off. It will still take on the acrylic paint all being well and be strong enough, but it might make it less absorbent and easily varnish at the end as well. So we'll do that before we start painting on it. PVA glue. Just give it a good coat of that one in. Could use water with it, but I want to make sure that it's well sealed. It's probably a little bit better mixed now. We'll give it a really good, really good back of that, all over into the crevices as well, and that should dry clear and seal it all off. So I've still got the darks, I'll put paint over it anyway, but it will stop the paint sinking in so much and give it much brighter. Even though I'm going to use heavy body, a much brighter effect. Hopefully when I come to varnish it won't sink in as much as well for that. While it's wet like this, it is showing how glorious these textures are. Right, there we are. You can see the glue all worked in and how lovely the textures look as well, so you can get a much better idea of how much texturing we've got there before we even start now. All the buildings worked up and even the sky. So hopefully that's all going to dry clear. I haven't made a mistake, and we'll work on over that. Well, the glue is virtually dried across here now. It's just a few little spots where it hasn't, and I want to be trying to get on and have a go at this. So I'm going to build up from my dark colours to my light this time rather than light to darks. Using the roller at first to try and get some of these effects, and then we'll just see what we can do with the brush. And don't know quite what to expect with this painting, but normally with the textural one I work with the brush only, but in this case I want to just start off with the roller. So I'm using the heavy body paints, but I'm not going to paint too thickly with them. And we'll just get glazes going over here at the moment. Mix some various colours together. Here I'm going to use a slightly a blue-green. I'll just damp my roller first of all and get it going. Over the surface in this case. Let that come through the darks. Interesting to see just how much it does sink onto this body now that I've primed it with that PVA. It should make quite a difference. I don't know quite what's going to happen with painting like this, especially when I'm using new techniques like this. this light looks a bit better. It's not so good in strong light. I need to bring out more of the glazes or colours, I think. It's coming. I really want to just get a bit more of this colour worked up. So we'll get the paint set out again and get going. I think that's about as far as I can take this one. I'll just give it a coat of varnish, and it's taken pretty well. It doesn't seem to be sinking in as badly, so the PVA glue certainly works as a sealant. We're going on now to a slightly finer one again, one of the bluer ones, where I'm going to work up the marker pen over the white canvas, and then work the blue ground over it with the roller. This is rather fun to do though, and again it's using the medium and the method for the subject.